Going into AtomFall, I had two things in mind after watching the trailer. Okay, it has a phone box and a cricket bat. I have to play this on day one. Also, is this just Fallout in the realm of tea and Cornish pasties? Welcome back to the Mumbling Game. On today's Mumble, we'll be mumbling about AtomFall and if it's better than Fallout or just a good alternative. Remember, before we begin, to like and subscribe for future mumbles. Check the links below to support the channel. So let's begin with a cup of tea. Long time ago on a channel called the Mumbling Gamer, there was a video. Sorry about that. There was a video that questioned, can Fallout 5 be better than Starfield and Fallout 76? Hot on the heels of one of the greatest video game adaptations ever, the Fallout series. And well, I suggested something that Fallout 5 should step outside and go to the UK. And well, it got this reaction.
Yeah, maybe not. But I'm gonna make myself well.
So let's see how this goes.
Hello, Governor.
AtomFall, if you don't know, is a similar setup to Fallout. In fact, that we have a post-apocalypse nuclear type event where the whole world has already gone down the toilet. Nowhere near similar to what's happening now in our world at all. No.
Has it done that?
Also, the world is kind of set in the 60s themes, but robots in like an alternative world mumbo jumbo. You know the drift. You played a Fallout game, they're all set in a weird timeline. This kind of copies that setting. That really is the premise of the game. Apocalypse, survival kind of stuff. If you played a Fallout game or any other survival game, this is the 101, and this is what the game sets out to be. Spoilers ahead, some very minor spoilers ahead. We won't be going into too much story detail here. I played about 8 hours, so I know a lot about the story, but I'll be going in about 2 hours of spoilers, really, story-wise, as I didn't know what was going on for way too long.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off!
The gameplay in general is pretty basic, with a British tinge to it, Governor.
More than just tea. We make proper brews.
It's boiled down to the first-person shooter with melee combat. This being very similar to Fallout, but in the fact it's more closer to a survival game in comparison. This is probably different though, depending how you play. Even though AtomFall recommends you playing on the kind of survival level, this being a difficulty level, with there being no help on the map, just you and your compass, but also makes enemies more aggressive and you have less ammo, adding to this survival element. Even though playing this kind of hard difficulty, this being still one below super duper hard, gives you enough ammo to take most things down. When playing the game though, I found myself being lost a lot and it kind of frustrated me, so I had to go back on this difficulty by one, as it is a tiered system, so you can have a look at the map and you can go down one on the map, so you do get the mission locations and the waypoints like a normal kind of open world game, but you can still keep the story and pacing and enemy levels at the same level, so the survival elements are still there. I do think if you are that type of person to love being immersed in a world, AtomFall does this amazingly, as maybe for a good 4 hours trying to track down where to go was exciting before the kind of world opened. As soon as you kind of leave this first location, going off the notes and mentions of locations gets a little frustrating. I'm not a type of person who loves open world games. I don't think every game needs to be open world. I think maybe 50% of them doesn't. I don't need to feel like Groundhog Day every time I do a side mission. Massive open lands with one colour and some ruins there, what you get a new item is always boring in the open world. Apart from if your name is Zelda maybe. But with AtomFall, it feels like an open world would kind of help the feeling and the format of these missions. With it currently feeling like there's too many different locations and with no fast travel, the system they kind of have in place and kind of push you towards with no map locations and you kind of just exploring with your own intellect and notes quickly becomes frustrating. And I think if they didn't have this option of difficulty to change it to give the map locations back, I don't even know if I would have done this review. I do think this is really a pet peeve though, as they have that system in place for people like me who got annoyed.
Give me 8 weeks of my life back, how's that sound?
Another pet peeve, maybe a little bigger than a pet peeve, actually maybe a big peeve, AtomFall does have the British thing going for it. It has a personality of British. It feels like I'm walking around and find a random abandoned building. I could probably walk about an hour that way and I could find this in real life. Rebellion hit the Union Jack right on the head and included some dragon elements for good measure. However, the stale Scotch egg in this is a lot of the elements are kind of basic. It's difficult not to compare it to Fallout, but comparing this to any kind of post-apocalyptic world from Mad Max to Metro, all of it has personality, but AtomFall is kind of missing that. And for a game that is made in Britain, it's way too much of a personality, but it's also not enough at the same time to give it a out-of-the-box kind of thinking. It's like a Disney adult who only speaks about Kingdom Hearts, Lilo and Stitch, and their favourite mug has Disney villains on it. It feels like a lot of other post-apocalyptic games, they have that original feeling, that adaptation. Dying Light had weapons and parkour and how that affected the world around it. Metro had trains and items resembled stuff, and Mad Max, well, they had cars. AtomFall has rusty guns, knives and a cricket bat. It misses that personality, that little bottle caps as currency, the original factions, or even a goddamn classy blue-yellow jumpsuit. It feels like AtomFall would feel more unique if it had some of these originalities to it, that personality, and you're going down this British route, make it your personality. It feels like even this personality of the game being set in Britain has been watered down to some terrible cup of tea.
I don't like tea. I like gin.
If you are going down this British route, use British humour. Let me use a cup of tea as a weapon. Couldn't you give me a cult what wears them weird hat things in London? No, I live in Wales. I know, rather than just like a grey suited cloth wearing cult, what is kind of very basic for a faction of enemies, what you see a lot of. I know I said don't make Britain your personality, but they obviously did go down that route here. So if you're going to make Britain your personality, make it your personality. Use your humour, what you have a slight tinge of in this game, but just put it up there rather than down here. It's lower. It's just nothing really of it. There's British humour, there's British things, but it's not at that peak. The most peak of British humour you have is the Easter eggs. I didn't find any, I just saw them on different things, but that's the best things I kind of see. Add some maybe Monty Python humour to it. I don't know, there's something. It's just missing that personality that I thought it would have had. Unless I'm missing something, but I don't think I am. Going back to the genre of survival games though, there are balances to these type of games. AtomFall mentions it is a survival game. Really, the scarceness of items on what I did mention in the difficulties isn't really add up to much of it as being a survival game. Even though we have had a heartbeat meter, it's a stamina bar. It misses nearly all the elements of survival. That kind of feeling, you're having nothing, you manage to stay alive, apart from bullets, what's still pretty easy to find even on the second to hardest difficulty, what they recommend for surviving. Even though all the reviews, previews and bunkers mention that this isn't your usual Fallout game. The longer you kind of play, the more it feels like it is. No matter what you do, if you just strip this back to the bare pasties, this gameplay and the core here is Fallout feeling, without that critical aiming stuff. There are some elements, small kind of elements that separate itself gameplay wise, weirdly being one of them the merchants. There's no currency here, instead maybe like a real world apocalypse you barter. Even though I would never take the bottle caps out of the Fallout, the barter system added that kind of extra weight of what you should carry, what traders like, what they want to buy from, what they prefer, adds a lot of elements to the gameplay. Even though I would have thought they could have pushed this a little bit further, it generally adds some fun elements to the systems that are already in place. The stealth system has to be mentioned here. A lot of different elements of the difficulty push you towards more stealth usage, but the gameplay and systems do not. There's a big thing needed for stealth, and it's smart AI. No, not that stuff that makes Lord of the Rings into Studio Ghibli photos. The enemy AI is sadly very, how do I say this without being mean? It's a couple of potatoes short of a stew. The phone isn't in the phone box. Few less cricket balls to make a game. It's fucking stupid. This mixed with some itchy stealth system that even if I peep off the cliff, they jump on me quicker than American Fallout fans when I say that the next game should be in the UK. Even though I do kind of have my sour notes with the gameplay mixed with the story, with the atmosphere, is like chips, gravy and cheese. It just adds up. Try it if you haven't. If you haven't got anything from this video, try chips, cheese and gravy. Now. After you finish the video and like and subscribe for future mumbles. Obviously. This making it the greatest time to talk about the story.
Lovely jubbly.
Based off one of the worst nuclear events in the world, wind-scale nuclear event in the Lake District, this game is set 5 years in an alternate world. You wake up in a bunker to a world that has been changed by these events. Even though I go out the bunker after this guy telling us to go because of some weird reason, I did go back to the bunker to see what my hazmat suit wearing friend was up to. I thought there was going to be something here that surprised me, and I have saw some hazmat people later on that did surprise me, but I was sadly spoiled to nothing. That's not really a spoiler. Don't bother going back to the original bunker if you think, oh, if I do a couple of missions, maybe he will become something else. He's just not there, what is kind of sad, even though I did miss a lot of things in that original bunker, so do explore a bit more than I did. By the way, Rebellion, I love your games. They're great. Sniper Elite and stuff like that, amazing games. I think that's by you. I'm not 100% now. But if you don't want to be compared to Fallout, don't put Fall in your name. Call it like Atom Trip, Atom the Way to Go, Atom Split, Union Atom, Atom Britain, the Union Atom, that's a good one. The Union Atom's a good name for a game. Unlike Fallout though, there is more mysterious kind of things, eerie feeling going on in this game. Where Fallout does take this serious tones a lot of the time, AtomFall kind of takes this to another level with a kind of mystery to what really is happening here. Especially early on where you really just dropped into the middle of nowhere, like most tourists probably going to Scotland or Wales getting lost in a farm. And that kind of is the feeling of this game. You go on a random farm, you see ruins and old houses, what are sometimes just there in random places where you do walk in the UK, especially in Wales. You have no reason why they're sometimes there. You may come across some weirdos with bat shotguns or other crazy things. Half of the reason is that is because you're on public property and a farmer is chasing you because you're on their land. That's never happened to me, it's just a random thought that's come to my mind because people are crazy. This is set in an apocalypse, right? This is not just me going for a walk in Wales, where I live. This kind of feeling of survival mixed with this mystery, even though I do think the survival elements could be pushed a bit higher with more management systems. They have a stamina bar, but the stamina bar is a health heartbeat meter, but it feels like it should be something else, like hunger or something along them lines. It just feels like it's missing that extra little bit of survival. The atmosphere is there, but it just misses something, and I don't know what it is. And I think the way they've done this game, that extra step into survival, what maybe games are scared to do, could elevate this game to another level, just that little bit. Making it exciting to kind of find the next pieces of the puzzle, to find another part of the story, another part of what this world is. What the hell is Bard? Why are payphones going off? Why is there blue fungus everywhere with creatures crawling out of them? This game throws you out of this bunker into mystery and adds excitement to this world. Maybe the Fallout series had this originally in Fallout 3, when the first time you went first person. I can't remember, but we know so much about that world, it's difficult to wonder what that game will do, as the Fallout series is kind of predictable-ish now. But AtomFall isn't. It has that mystery, it has that excitement in the world. Maybe Fallout will somehow do this in the future. I am on that lapsed kind of boat of after 76 put some radioactive waste in my stew. Even though it does feel like AtomFall loses out on kind of the experience of Fallout has with the open world kind of environment with different elements, if AtomFall does release a sequel with hopefully maybe a little big of a budget to iron some of these crinkles out, it could be another rebellious franchise hit. However, like Shrek, I have to pull a couple of layers out the onion. I like what AtomFall has done here with all the mystery from the start, like I've mentioned, but there's nothing mind-blowing here. I'm playing through the game and I don't think any of these twists will be that exciting. Maybe someone will be from a different location, and that's not really much. I don't see any secret zombie things turning or my son being the biggest villain in the game. It feels like there's no real next level to this story. Even though there is mystery there, it feels like it's setting up nothing really exciting to pay off, and it feels lackluster through the experience. I love story as well, that's what gets me playing games. Even when I play Baruto, I listen to an audiobook and it feels like this game sets up high hopes but then dilutes through the experience, adding to a slightly lackluster full English, full Welsh and full Scottish breakfast. The true answer, if this game is worth playing, is yes, if you have Game Pass. But will I be going back to playing this game after the review, after playing of 8 hours just to finish it completely? Probably not. I'll probably be playing Fantasia Metaphor, is it called? Or Assassin's Creed Shadows. But for people like me who wanted a British apocalypse game instead of America and Russia and America again and then Russia again, this game is for you. It was for me, but it just felt like it was missing a lot of elements. That's why I think a next game, if they had another chance, if they improved it like they did with Stalker 2, it could be a lot better. And just add more British humour, please. Monty Python, Mr. Bean, all that kind of jazz. As currently it feels like it's a couple of roasties and maybe even some gravy short of a Sunday roast. That's another thing you should try. Sunday roasts. Google it. But what do you think? Do you think this game is worth buying? Do you think it's kind of missing some elements, but it's so close? Maybe it just needs better world building. Comment below your thoughts. Either way you look at it though, it's better than waiting 10 years, as I think the next game could take maybe 4 years to make rather than Fallout what takes 10. As I can't even remember when the last game released. And that's it for this mumble. Remember to like and subscribe for future mumbles, and look down below to support the channel further. We have bloopers videos on our Patreon currently, and they're pretty funny in a British way. Anyway, like and subscribe for future mumbles, and I will see you on the next mumble.